Good morning, I'm Dani Laurel. It is Thursday, the 5th of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. The impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte is moving to the next phase as the House Justice Committee cleared the substance test yesterday. The panel has ordered the Vice President to submit a formal answer within 10 days to address charges ranging from corruption to sedition. Quezon City Congressman Bong Suntay has issued a public apology to actress Ann Curtis and those offended by his recent analogy during the Vice President's impeachment hearing. The lawmaker, however, maintained that his remarks carried no malice and were purely intended to illustrate a legal point. And Israel has launched a fresh wave of airstrikes in Tehran, directly targeting military infrastructure and key security facilities. That's according to the Israeli Defense Forces. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, the House Committee on Justice has found the remaining impeachment complaints sufficient in substance, allowing the case to proceed. Now, with this, the Vice President will be given 10 days to file her answer and present her side. Here is that report.
The House Committee on Justice has found the surviving impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte sufficient in substance. The two complaints, filed by a group led by Father Bong Saballa and that of lawyer Nathaniel Cabrera, garnered an overwhelming yes vote of 54 with 0 abstention. Quezon City Representative Bong Suntay was the lone negative vote. Just like in the first ouster move against the VP, both filings mainly accused Duterte of betrayal of public trust and other violations. That's over the alleged misuse of 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds. There's also her supposed threat to kill President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., First Lady Liza Araneta, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon connected Sara's purported squander of public funds to her unexplained increase of net worth.
And if we will base it from the original SALN at 2008 to the 2024 SALN, Madam Chair, it is an increase of more than, I think, 1,200%. So we leave it to the House Committee on Justice to make a determination on whether the comparison between the original SALN at 2008 and the current SALN at 2024 constitutes unexplained wealth, which is essentially part of the impeachable offenses that we would want to proceed with at this point.
In an interview with The Big Story, Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Jokno believes that there are sufficient grounds to examine the bank accounts of Vice President Sara Duterte.
May mga alegasyon na napapaloob sa parehong complaints, yung third and fourth complaints tungkol sa unexplained wealth, tungkol sa mga bank accounts and in relation to the SALNs of the Vice President. So there is basis for that.
Apart from these grounds, filers have also included the testimony of self-proclaimed Duterte bagman Ramil Madriaga in their impeachment complaints. With both impeachment complaints now past the Committee on Justice, the Vice President was ordered to file her answer to the impeachment complaints within 10 calendar days. Her defense counsel, Attorney Michael Powa, has acknowledged the House Committee's decision and said the legal team will carefully review the records of the proceeding. House Justice Panel Chairperson Jervil Luistro, meanwhile, clarified that finding the two remaining complaints sufficient in substance is not tantamount to declaring the Vice President guilty of impeachable offenses.
Do the allegations rise to the level of impeachable offenses? Do these complaints meet the constitutional threshold to move forward? And importantly, are the allegations credible enough to justify moving forward with the process? At this stage, we are not deciding guilt.
Justice Committee Vice Chairman Representative Bel Zamora told sa Totoo Lang that the committee will now issue a notice directing the Vice President to file her answer within 10 calendar days from receipt. This will be her opportunity to present her side and lay out her defenses to the allegations in the impeachment complaints.
After she files her answer po, the complainants are given 3 calendar days within which to file their reply. And then the respondent vice president is again given a chance to answer back by way of a rejoinder 3 calendar days from receipt of the reply.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has filed a perjury complaint against Ramil Madriaga. In her affidavit, Duterte dismissed as false Madriaga's accusations that he received campaign funds on her behalf from drug and pogo syndicates. The Vice President also denied knowing Madriaga and maintained that his allegations are politically motivated. According to Duterte's lawyer, the complaint was supposed to be filed as early as January, but they were overwhelmed with work at that time.
It shows that the complainants and those pushing for the impeachment did not fact check or did a background check on Madriaga and his claims, and that's why they claim that his testimony is the smoking gun, quote unquote, for the impeachment against VP Sara.
Congressman Bong Suntay has apologized for his remarks about Ann Curtis, and yet he insists that his, quote, analogy was not meant to be malicious. Here is that report.
Quezon City 4th District Congressman Bong Suntay has apologized for his controversial remarks, including actress Ann Curtis. Suntay, however, stood by his analogy, emphasizing that his remarks had no malice.
While may mga tao siguro that found the analogy in bad taste, doon sa mga na-offend, tayo'y inuulit ko, walang malis doon sa nanais nating gawin doon sa statement na yun. Ayaw natin makasakit through that analogy, but kung may nasaktan, humihingi tayo ng dispensa. Kay Miss Ann Curtis rin, kung nasaktan siya sa sinabi, there was, ulitin ko, there was no malice intended at tayo humihingi ng dispensa sa kanya. Hindi tayo perfectong tao. Kung maling analogy, hindi nagustuhan ng iba, well, sorry dun sa mga hindi nakagusto. But actually, in fact, that analogy was effective dahil hindi nyo ako papansinin kung hindi binigay yung analogy na yun.
Several public figures, including Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte, actresses Jasmine Curtis-Smith and Nadine Lustre, criticized the remarks and called for Suntay to be reprimanded. Even Palace Press Officer Claire Castro described the comment as offensive.
Dapat ba bang ipagpasalamat na ang lalaki ay nag-iisip ng malaswa sa iyong pagkababae? Magkaiba ba yun? Kung ordinaryong tao ang gagawa o ang tao ay supposed to be isang honorable.
In an interview with 1PHS sa Totoo Lang, Justice Committee Vice Chairman Representative Bel Zamora said Suntay should apologize without any conditions and any other statement.
To tell you frankly, I did not hear his apology. I heard about him apologizing, but ang sabi sa akin kumbaga may sinisi pa, may sinabi pang iba, and for people who apologize, that amounts to a non-apology. Hindi pwedeng nag-a-apologize ka na may sisihin ka pa or may sasabihin ka pang ibang bagay aside from your apology, di ba?
She added that before adjourning Wednesday's session, she moved to refer his conduct to the Committee on Ethics.
For us, lumabag siya sa proper decorum, sa ethical standards that should be exhibited by a congressman.
Don't go away. We will be back with more stories after this short break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte has visited his father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, over at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. In an ambush interview, Baste said their family was prepared for the situation and believes politics is a major factor in the case. The younger Duterte reiterated that he cannot be optimistic about the proceedings, saying he does not trust the international court.
We're always prepared. We're always prepared. Even my father is prepared. Wala kami dito para iiyak lang. You know? It's politics. Most of it is politics.
Baste added that during his visit, he and his father were not allowed to discuss the details of the case inside the detention facility. The Davao mayor also said they did not talk about the 2028 elections and dismissed speculation that he may run for a higher position.
Okay na yung Davao kung may mahalal tayo na maayos na presidente na talagang like that will take care of the money of the people. Tapos it's well allocated as long as the head of state is of sound mind, not this guy here in Malacanang right now.
Meanwhile, former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV admitted coordinating with the International Criminal Court. In an interview with Storycon, Trillanes said he helped the ICC gather evidence and facilitate meetings with other personalities to strengthen the case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. He added that he will file a cyber libel complaint and other charges under the revised penal code today, March 5th, against 18 former soldiers, Attorney Levi Baligod, and several others. The complaints stem from allegations that Trillanes received $2 million from Zaldico to assist ICC investigators, a claim he vehemently denies.
Ina-admit ko nga po, in general terms, ako ay nakikipag-ugnayan sa ICC. Tumutulong ako sa pagkalap ng ebidensya at mag-facilitate ng kung anong mga meeting sa iba't ibang mga personalidad at para sa ikabubuti ng kaso laban kay Duterte. Ngayon, the specific operations, the specific meetings, I would not be in a position to confirm or deny dahil ano po yan, merong mga complications involved yan. Yung saan sila nag-meeting, sino ka-meeting, hindi ako pwedeng magsalita about that kasi malalagay sa panganib kung sino man yung masasabi. Dalawang party yung kanilang aligasyon na sila yung nag-provide ng security at merong parte na nagbigay sila ng pera, whether through me or directly o kung ano man. Doon sa parte na nagbantay sila, sabi ko nga, I am ready to concede. Tipong, sige, assuming nagbantay kayo, what is wrong with that? Assuming nagbantay kayo doon sa ICC, nakita nyo yung mga kausap, saan nyo dinala, mga testigo, what is the crime there? Walang krimen doon, doon sa parte na yon. O ngayon, punta tayo dito, hahaluan nila, binombard nila ng detalye rito to remove any doubt na talaga nagbantay sila. O sige, nagbantay, yung ilan doon assuming natin kung meron man. Ngayon, ang tanong dito, hahaluan nila nung maleta na pera para ngayon, magkaroon ng medyo sensational yung kanilang allegation. Kasi if you take that out, ang lalabas lang dito, nagbantay kayo dun sa ICC at some point, which is not a crime. Walang problem, walang mali doon. Pero meron silang krimen na ginawa dahil, according to the ICC prosecutors na to, deliberate intimidation, yung pag-out sa identity nila, the names and the photos sa kanila, pati sa mga witnesses. Bawal yun dun sa Article 70 ng Rome Statute.
What are you filing tomorrow? Exactly what case?
Cyber libel and other violations sa revised penal code. Si Levi Baligod, yung 18 ex-soldiers, si Jay Sonsa, si Lorraine Badoy, at saka si Cathy Binag.
In other news, Meralco supports the government's call for energy efficiency and conservation as tensions escalate in the Middle East. Meralco spokesperson Joe Zaldariaga highlighted the company's commitment to providing reliable power while encouraging customers to use electricity wisely. Meralco Chairman and CEO Manny V. Pangilinan earlier said the company is reviewing its fuel position, including LNG, coal, and diesel prices, as these factors may influence electricity costs. He urged consumers to be mindful of their electricity use to help maintain adequate power in the coming weeks, especially as imported fuel supplies are affected by the ongoing conflict. Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after this short break. Good morning, I'm Dani Laurel, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. As we know, the House Committee on Justice has found the remaining impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte sufficient in substance, allowing the process to move forward. The complaints cite issues such as the alleged misuse of confidential funds, unexplained wealth, and other allegations. Now, with this development, Vice President Duterte has been given 10 days to file her formal answer. House leaders stress that the finding does not determine guilt, but simply allows the impeachment proceedings to continue. Joining us this morning is former presidential advisor for political affairs, Ronald Llamas, for his analysis on the latest developments in the impeachment complaints against the VP. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Danny. My first time with you as host dito sa Morning Matters.
Actually, no? Well, very, very happy to have you with us this morning, sir. Let's talk about this next step in the impeachment process, no? So, sufficient in substance, how significant is this step? And also, what do you expect the VP to be doing at this point? So far, she's been silent, but now she has 10 days to respond.
Well, first of all, nabanggit ko na to sa mga several episodes sa inyong network that the impeachment will proceed. It will pass sa Justice Committee and most probably it will pass sa voting sa plenary and get 1/3 of its members para yung impeachment ay umakyat na sa Senate. No? Ikalawa ay itong medyo mahalaga yung ginawa ng Justice Committee na tinanggal na or pinayagang tanggalin yung first at saka second impeachment para walang magamit si Sara Duterte na mga technicalities again para mag-file ng TRO sa Supreme Court. No? Kaya ang focus nila ngayon ay yung technically as well as substantially very strong yung third at saka fourth impeachment. No? Third ay magkakaroon ng parang semi or small trial sa Justice Committee as proposed ng Supreme Court decision last year. Pinatay nila yung impeachment ni Sara Duterte. So may mga ebidensya na ilalabas sa Justice Committee in the next few days. Ngayon, ano yung ebidensya na yan? May bago ba dyan? Malamang meron. Dahil sa third at fourth impeachment, nakalagay doon yung usapin ng SALN. So kung nakalagay din yung usapin ng SALN, then they may have to open her bank accounts. At yun yung matagal nang sinasabi nung guest nyo dito earlier na Senator Trillanes. Itong mga bank accounts na ito ay very anomalous. So kung lalabas sa bank accounts nila na ito ay anomalous, nanggaling ito sa mga drug lords or pogo lords in huge amounts. As Senator Trillanes has consistently said this past few years, then that might be a game changer dito sa impeachment, hindi lang sa House, kung hindi sa public as well as sa Senate.
Ano yung defense niya that she can still put within these 10 days? Is it a defense against the trial to proceed? Wala namang evidence na mabibigay at this point, right? Or counter evidence for this matter. So it's just a reaction, tama ba?
Well, katulad nung previous impeachment, ay sasabihin niya na wala akong kinakatakutan sa impeachment, let it go. Pero at the same time, iko-contradict niya yung sinabi niya and file a case sa Supreme Court para pigilan yung impeachment. Pero this time, baka wala na siyang masyadong basis or technical basis para pigilan yung impeachment.
What could she possibly put there, sir? Like, what can stop this process now from going, now that the wheels are turning?
Well, again, yung Supreme Court ay katulad ng last impeachment, ay gumawa ng judicial overreach. Ibig sabihin, nakialam sila sa isang co-equal branch of government. Dahil sila yung Supreme Court They're very supreme. Pwede pa rin nilang gawin yon kahit yun ay labag sa ating constitutional system. No? Pwede pa rin nilang gawin yon. Pero I doubt kung gagawin nila yon this time. Dahil even yung kanilang decision na judicial overreach ay sinusunod na ngayon ng House. No? Kaya I doubt kung merong basis. Just in case.
What does that tell you that the House, or at least 1/3 of the House, no, not the entire House, but the minimum required, has actually pushed for this impeachment trial to go on, regardless of the fact that she has just announced her bid for presidency and malaki pa rin ang suporta sa kanya. She might be the next sitting president. Walang nag-shift ng loyalties dito sa House?
Well, syempre, yung bumoto last time, na marami naman doon, wala na ngayon sa Congress, yung 260 votes sa Congress, most probably hindi mangyayari. Pero yung 1/3 mo lang naman is about 105, 106. Yung bumoto sa Justice Committee na sufficient in form and substance, itong third at saka fourth impeachment complaints, ay dadagdagan mo na lang ng another 52 para ma-reach yung 1/3. Katulad ng sinabi ko dito sa Morning Matters before, ay very doable yung 1/3. At itong botohan yesterday is proof of that. Dahil 54 na yung bumoto So 52 na lang yung kakailanganin mo. No? Kaya mas naging doable yung sinasabi ko before na 1/3 sa House para ma-impeach si Vice President Sara Duterte.
Okay. Sir, let's go back to what she is even being impeached for, no? Plunder, malversion, graft, corruption, and then you have this 612 million peso confidential funds that is difficult to be tracing, death threats to the president and his wife, and 125 million of appropriated funds for personal gain. Give us an idea, is this strong enough for the case? Let's kick off with the fact na mabubuksan ba talaga ang bank accounts, and is this already something that can be done right now already? How much proof is needed to show this, especially since there are so many investigations into anomalous funds going on with the flood control scandal, corruption everywhere, no? So people at large also right now, magagawan ba ng kaso tong confidential funds that happened several years ago?
Of course, Danny, the proof has always been there. Even yung Commission on Audit natin ay naglabas na ng mga pruweba dito. So, it doesn't matter kung nangyari ito before the flood control scandal. Ang mahalaga ay meron bang ginawang mga anomalies ang Vice President. So, 120 million na ginastos na in 11 days, yung mga na-discovery ng COA sa Department of Education in the hundreds of millions, no? Yung hindi ko alam kung kasama diyan yung testimony ni Las Cañas na tetestigo sa International Criminal Court na si Sara ay yung reyna ng Tokhang sa Davao dati pa, no? At saka yung iba pang mga almawa, yung kanyang grave threat sa presidente very public yon. Although sinabi niya na hindi yun na seryoso, in-emphasize pa niya na hindi ito joke yung kanyang threat sa presidente at sa kanyang pamilya. So, very compelling at very definite yung evidence. Hindi lang siya nagamit dahil pinatay ng Supreme Court at ni Senate President Chis Escudero yung impeachment last year. Pero the evidence, hindi naman nagbago eh. Itong bank account ay posibleng madagdag dahil doon sa usapin SALN. Paano kung i-check
Pero
mo yung
hindi ba po,
kanya?
doesn't she need to be first convicted of these crimes before she can be impeached? So hindi ba mahaba pa ang proseso na yon? Hindi. Just the fact that these are there
She cannot be
is enough.
convicted because she cannot be convicted dahil impeachable person siya. So kaya nga ang ginamit laban sa kanya is impeachment dahil hindi siya pwedeng makonvict. Hindi siya pwedeng makasuhan. Yeah.
Okay.
Kaya
So,
kung pwede kasi dapat yun na lang ang ginamit, hindi na impeachment. No?
Okay.
Kaya impeachment ang ginamit dahil hindi pwedeng mangyari yun.
and this could also be the case if she wins as president, so she will have the next entire 6 years to not have any case filed against her, tama ba? Except impeachment na lang yung recourse.
Oh, except impeachment. As vice president or president, impeachment lang ang pwede.
Wala lang. Okay, so yan na lang ang final recourse. Let's discuss that death threats, which is still being debated, even as recently as the other day, no? That these could just be, as with the defense of her father, hyperbole or statements that were not meant. To what extent can the court use these as grounds for impeachment? The statements that she made and death threats against the president. Is there a strong enough course?
Definitely magagamit yan. Sa International Criminal Court nga, ginagamit na yan ngayon eh. Kung hindi yan pwedeng isustain na hyperbole. Dahil mataas kang tao eh. You're the second, you have the second highest, most powerful position in the country. You're the first beneficiary kung mamamatay yung presidente na tinetereten mo. Ikatlo, ay may capability kayo dahil nga sa nangyaring tokhang na crimes against humanity. Ibig sabihin, from all angles, ay pwede kang kasuhan ng impeachment dahil do sa iyong mga threats. Dahil yung mga threats mo na grave, no? Yung threats mismo ay isang krimen, ay among others, no? Dahil hindi lang naman yan yung kasama sa articles of impeachment. Pero yan ay seryoso dahil nga kaya mong gawin as the second most powerful person and as the beneficiary of the threat. As beneficiary at record mo na nagawa yan ng iyong pamilya.
Okay. Sir, what happens to in the next step, no? Kung mai-impeach man siya, I mean, there's only how many more years before the next administration. So what is the point? Why do we need to...
Then banned siya from any elective position. Kahit barangay councilor. Hindi na siya pwedeng tumakbo.
Oh,
No?
is that clear? Because I've been asking that question, and will she be banned from filing candidacy after that, immediately?
Yes.
Okay. For how long? Forever?
Lifetime.
Because
forever. That's a lifetime na hindi siya pwedeng tumakbo.
We have seen cases filed against even the highest people in our land, no? Former President Estrada, former President Macapagal Arroyo, and they returned to power at some point in time.
Because the impeachment failed. Hindi sila na-impeach eh. No? Kaya nga yung kay Erap Estrada na-trigger yung people power dahil hindi siya na-impeach. Si Arroyo, never siya na-impeach. Never umabot sa Senate.
Interesting. Okay. And this is something that they knowingly did, no? So that they could actually have a chance to return to power.
Yes. Ang na-impeach lang successfully ay alam ko si Ombudsman Merceditas at saka si Chief Justice Corona. Yun talaga na-convict sila. Paano meron kang impeachment sa House dahil meron kang trial sa Senate? Trial sa Senate, pag na-convict ka, hindi ka na pwedeng tumakbo in any elective position. si Sara lang naman together with Erap Estrada and Corona ang umabot sa Senate. Pero si
Correct.
si Estrada ay hindi na impeach, hindi na convict.
Interesting. So, do you anticipate na VP could actually resign before this impeachment happens?
Yes, pwede siya mag-resign, pero meron pwedeng ituloy ng Senate yung hearing para i-ban siya from elective office.
Has that
Ibig
happened
sabihin-
before? If it couldn't happen
Yeah,
with the former
Yes, pero
presidents.
hindi pa siya nangyari dahil ito yung first time eh. Kung sakali na merong executive na may impeach. Yung naging successful lang na impeachment ay yung ombudsman at saka yung chief justice. So ito yung first time na mangyayari na isang elective officer,
Okay.
the highest, can be convicted. Ito yung first time. Pero malinaw
Okay.
dyan yung rules.
Pero for that to be able to happen, it needs to be happening quite quickly, no? Because she can resign at any time as VP and then file her candidacy. And then once that period is lapsed, wala na pong magagawa ang Senado, no? To withdraw that candidacy. Or pwede pa ba?
Yung filing ng candidacy, may date yan eh. Nangyayari yan sa 2027 pa.
Correct,
Yung
yes.
impeachment ay mangyayari sa 2026. Kung ang magiging record mo ay yung mga na previous impeachment, mabilis yan. 2 to 3
Okay.
months. No? 2 to 3 months. 3 months at most. No? At sabi ko nga, kahit siya ay mag-resign, no? Ibig sabihin, hindi siya matatanggal as Vice President, pwede pa rin ituloy ng Senado yung trial, hindi para tanggalin siya as Vice President, kung hindi para pigilan siyang tumakbo for any elective position in the future.
Do you
Kung
feel that
mapatunayan
this is
na gawa nga niya yung mga kasalanan na yun.
okay? And do you sense that this is something that could really happen? To
Of
ban
course,
her from her.
because
Okay.
it's
And this is
now
the
an-
sentiment of the House.
The House, no? The Senate is a different thing. Dahil sa House, 1/3 lang ang kailangan mo eh. Sa Senate, ang kailangan mo 2/3. And for now, the majority doesn't have the 2/3. So medyo matindi yung labanan sa Senate.
Interesting.
Very,
Okay.
very intense yan. Dahil nga, wala yung numbers for now.
Okay. Sino po ang magiging VP kung ma-impeach si VP? Ano po
Well,
yung
depende sa
mangyayaring
kwan.
transition ng... Sorry?
Depende sa presidente, Dani. Siya yung mag-a-appoint eh. No, pwedeng galing yan sa Senado, pwedeng manggaling yan sa Kongreso, theoretically. Pero yung presidente magkukan kung sino yung papalit sa Vice President.
Okay. Let's shift gears for 1 second, and I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the anti-political dynasty bill that's now being discussed, no? Sinasabi po ng mga analysts na medyo watered down na yung final version, which was the one that they consolidated the 25, and now it's the one of Speaker Boji D that's being pushed. And in this version, you can still have quote-unquote dynasty from different levels in the political sphere. Your thoughts on that? Effective ba yan? Is that a good first step at least, since this has been debated since the Constitution, tas hindi na nangyayari?
Hindi siya watered down, Dani. Hindi siya watered down anti-dynasty bill. It's a
Okay.
pro-dynasty bill.
Okay, wow.
It institutionalizes dynasties. So, it's an insult dun sa mga proponent ng anti-dynasty law. No? Kaya katulad nila Congresswoman Laila de Lima, Congressman Percy Sendanya, Congresswoman Dada, Congresswoman Kakabag-Aw, etc. Kaya winidraw nila yung co-authorship nila rito. Pero ang mahalaga, iba yung bill ng Senate. Mas may laman yung bill ng Senate. Hindi naman maaaprubahan yan nang walang participation ng Senate. So, oobserbahan natin what will be the compromise bill sa bicameral. Sa bicam ng Senate at saka House. Definitely, ang alam ko, ang mga nakukuha kong impormasyon, mismo yung Malacanang, hindi masaya dyan sa
Okay.
bill na yan ng House.
Okay, so marami pang steps, hindi pa naman yan ang final. So medyo may deliberations pa
Tagal
naman.
yan. Baka mauna pa
Alright.
yung impeachment, Danny.
Well, let's watch out for that. Maraming salamat po for guesting on our show this morning, political pundit Ronald Llamas. Thank you, sir.
Salamat din, Danny.
And don't go away. We will be back with more stories after this quick break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The U.S. Senate has cleared the way for President Donald Trump to continue military operations against Iran. That's after a measure seeking to limit his war powers failed in a close vote. That proposal, backed by Democrats, was rejected 47 to 53, with most senators voting along party lines. The result allows the Trump administration to press ahead with the conflict, even as lawmakers remain deeply divided over the war's potential costs and consequences. The issue is also expected to figure prominently in the upcoming U.S. midterm elections, as public opinion remains split over the military campaign against Iran. This comes after Israel launched a new wave of airstrikes in Iran's capital, Tehran, targeting military infrastructure. Joining us on the line is security analyst Dr. Chester Cabalza, president and founder of International Development and Security Cooperation. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Daniela. Thank you for having me.
Sir, what a difficult time, no, to be looking at. Let's discuss first the main breaking news here, which is the U.S. Senate actually saying go ahead to President Donald Trump with this war, no? Does that have any bearing, really? And you've also got quite a split between the allies of the U.S., specifically in the EU, you know? Spain saying no, France, the UK, Germany backing this. What's going on here, and how is this shaping the current landscape?
Okay, let's look first at the domestic politics in the United States. The fact that there is now the upper hand coming from the Congress and the Senate. That means that they approve the action of President Donald Trump, and he has the majority of support coming from legislators. That means that this is very important in its action to purge the clerical regime of Iran, and at the same time to strengthen the economy of the United States, because what they're fighting right now is the reserve oil and the distribution of petroleum, which is we all know that Iran has a major role in the region of Middle East. Now, the second question on the non-support of allied forces, meaning to say those who are friends of the United States, I think they still have some remnants of issues in terms of how Trump has been dealing with Europe. Many of these European countries think that they are now in certain dilemma on how they would engage with the United States, given that, of course, Washington is trying to divorce from Europe and would focus their attention to the Middle East and into Pacific. We all know that Trump is, of course, trying to disengage with Europe, particularly on the Russia-Ukraine war, and they want and Washington wants to have European powers to become more accountable to their own regional security in Europe. So I think that's where they're coming from right now, and that shows the protectionist role of the United States when it comes to their national interest and as their role as a superpower now. They're no longer the police of the world. They want to protect their own domestic interests. And regardless if Europe will support them, I think the U.S. remains the military superpower in the world, and I think that is something that they're trying to show to the world that they are still leading compared to Russia and China, who are trying to challenge them.
Okay, with these new developments, Doc, Is this war more likely to be contained? Because some analysts have said that, initially, at least 2 days ago even, that the U.S. will probably not put ground boots, or boots on the ground rather. There will be no ground invasion of Iran. But then Trump has said that's actually a possibility here. So far, no nuclear weapons have been used. Diplomacy is still being touted. You even have a UN envoy from Iran actually calling for that. So tell us, what is the more likely scenario at this moment? Is it going to be contained to these 4 weeks in the Middle East? There will be no ground invasion of Iran. The bigger powers, China, Russia, will step back? Or is there going to be a bigger escalation, you think?
Very comprehensive view, definitely. What we are seeing right now are more of airstrikes and blockades in the Strait of Hormuz. So you're right in saying that there are no ground forces as of the moment, because the Persian Iranian militaries are highly trained for ground guerrilla warfare. They have elite soldiers for that. But nonetheless, the strength of the U.S. would be the air and the naval powers in deploying their ultra modern technology when it comes to that. But if you would also see it, most of what we are seeing are airstrikes. So most likely they're using drones. Persia is using drone strikes, whereas the U.S. Are sending their missile strikes. So this is you're right in saying that it's going to be a competition of air and naval power more than the ground troops, because of course the U.S. is also balancing its act when it comes to entering Iran, because as I told earlier, Iran is a powerful regional actor in the region. They have a core military system, which I think the people and their government are still supporting. So it is wise for Washington and its neighboring allies from the Middle East to just focus on the airstrikes and, of course, intimidate the enemy using their naval power. So I think those are the things that we will be seeing right now. As to the question of how long will it take, Donald Trump announced earlier that this will take for at least a month to do, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes depending on the escalation of the situation and the narrative that we are hearing from both sides. But a month is fair enough. So we should be prepared for all price hike and some eventualities, and we have to protect our overseas Filipino workers.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to get your thoughts very quickly on the goals of Israel now. You mentioned the U.S. already has their military agenda here in the nuclear war, and also needing allies for the West. But Israel-Iran relations is a much trickier thing to be looking at. Just very quickly for our audience here, but before the revolution, they were actually allies. And then it's really an existential question of the existence of Israel from an ideological perspective of this theocratic regime, which actually wants to obliterate the entire state of Israel from a conceptual and physical. They've threatened genocide even. So how is this going to end between Iran and Israel, which have had hostilities? It's only now that there's face-to-face combat war. But what is the end game here? Because this is two countries that don't want each other to exist.
You're right, but you're right in saying that, of course, prior to 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, both Tel Aviv and Iran are friends, and because of the support of the Americans. So the main actor in that regional architecture was really the United States, which up to now we are seeing some actions coming from Washington. But I think the insecurity happened after Israel saw that Iran is gaining more defense posture in the Middle East. It's becoming bigger in terms of its nuclear power arsenals, and at the same time, its regional influence. It's getting bigger, and of course, its alliance with China and Russia. And that's the point that, of course, you also see some geopolitical shenanigans in that area. That's the reason why we saw the alliance of Israel and the U.S. And one thing, of course, would be the religious difference. We know that Israel are composed of Jews, whereas Iran are Shiite Muslims. So they have different ideology, and you're right also in the form of government. Iran is more of a theocratic country. They are ruled by the Ayatollahs, and whereas of course it's a different government in Israel, where they are ruled by their prime minister. So what would be the end goal here? Of course, we don't want to coexist because of the conflict and war that we are seeing right now. But ultimately, we are there should be a redeeming factor on the role of diplomacy, because that's the only way that they could survive. We all know, we know for a fact that Middle East is prone to such vulnerabilities of man-made disasters to wars.
Right.
But we also saw success stories on their peace deals. And we are hoping that, of course, whoever wins in this conflict right now, whether and we are seeing that China and Russia are quite silent as of the moment, as the U.S. is becoming more boisterous in terms of military flexing. And the U.S. needs this because, of course, they need to boost their midterm election results. And also, Israel needs this victory because of the recent squabble also with Iran. Remember, there was a time that in the recent years we saw the Israel-Hamas war, and
Yes.
Iran also intervened during that
Is backing
process.
that.
So this is also a retaliation. The culture in the Middle East, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So you see this vengeful, retaliatory mechanism as part of their political culture. But of course, we are not closing the doors of diplomacy, of peace deals, and the only way to achieve this is, of course, one has to be weakened. So they are using the hard power, the military power, to at least get the result. The end justifies the means, in other words. So we'll see whoever becomes victorious in this conflict, and one will have to bend on the favor of the victorious. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. But as of now, we are seeing that, of course, based on the military arsenal, U.S. and Israel are winning. And in terms of the combat, we see also the U.S. and Israel are on the peak of their power. They were able to succeed to erase and defeat and kill the supreme leader of Iran. Definitely, in a change of government, it will take time also to strengthen their capability. But although, of course, let's not underestimate also Iran in terms of their preparations, because they have contingency measures as to the death of their supreme leader. But of course, what I'm seeing right now, so far, the U.S. and Israel and its allies in the region, I think Saudi Arabia and then some of the countries in the region that have military bases are supporting the military actions of Washington.
Okay, well, we are obviously watching this very closely. Thank you so much for your insights and time today. That was Dr. Chester Cabalsa, President and Founder of International Development and Security Cooperation. Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. Let's now make the day matter. I'm Danny Laurel, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time.